Welcome to EMERJ TV with Reggie Smith. This podcast is about all things production for the people in front of the camera or behind the camera. Let's join Reggie right now for the discussion.
Hey y'all, I'm talking to another production friend of mine, Dave McNutt, premier jib guy. Whatever else.
On most days.
We've done a lot of stuff, but Dave and I, we go back way, I'm not even going to say how far. And welcome to my podcast. Appreciate
Thank you for having
coming.
me.
Basically, we just kind of talk about experiences, talk about who we know, talk about how we met or whatever, you know. I remember when I first heard of you, and at the time, because of my beginnings in production, I heard about this jib guy, Dave McNutt, and I thought, well, I don't have to worry about getting to know him because I'm not on his level.
Oh.
And what happened with us, which happened a lot of times, I got called on a shoot, and then, you know, Dave and I, we would be on a shoot. I'd run camera, he'd run camera, and then like, this is Dave McNutt, jib guy. And we just kind of started talking, and you know, it's kind of cool. It's been a really cool relationship. I've learned a lot from you. You know, there's a church that I belong to that you come and do work, but you're a good guy. You've run jib for me. I remember one time though, we were on the job and the jib would be doing a move, and then it would kind of like crook over. And I thought, okay, there's something wrong with the jib. So I said, I better get off of his shot, because it happened like 2 or 3 times or whatever.
I know where you're going with this.
And so it would go so far, and I'd get off of it. And then it would go so far another time, and it would crook over. And I was like, oh man, I said, I got to get over it before the jib has this catch in it. And so that's the thing.
He was hitting the wall.
After the production, he said, Reg, I apologize.
Well, and it
he
was
said, I was hitting the wall. Oh, that's what that was.
And because I was trying, and this was early in my career, is that, you know, you go moving, and then I can't move anymore because I'm going to hit something. And it taught me when I do a job with directors, that if I stop moving, it's because I can't move anymore.
Well, see, so I would have known that.
And a lot of directors don't. They think it can fly forever, and at some point you're going to hit a wall.
And when you told me, I was like, and when you told me, all I thought was, oh, okay, it wasn't me.
Right.
But it's just kind of interesting, you know. You work with people. Now, what I don't, you know, Dave Kavanaugh and I, we were partners. So he bought a jib. So one day I called him. I said, well, Dave, I think I'm going to learn how to do the jib. So he said, okay. So Dave has a 3-day rule. He gives me 3 days.
Okay.
So if he asks me something, he'll wait for my reply 3 days later.
Okay.
If I decide I'm going to do something, it'll be 3 days later. So I told him, I said, I'm going to learn how to do the jib. And so the first day I said, okay, I'm going to learn to do it. And then the second day I thought, well, wait a minute. I'm going to have to go pick it up and load it in the truck. And I said, well, wait a minute, then I got to build it. And then after I get done running it, I got to tear it down.
Yeah.
And so this is day 2. So day 3, I'm like, wait a minute. I don't think I want to run the jib. I called Dave. I said, hey, Dave, never mind. He said, I was just waiting 3 days. Because he knew I was going to change my mind. But you guys, y'all work hard.
You want to hear how I got into the jib business?
Yeah.
So I got into the business in the mid-'80s. And I started out at Tribune United, which was a cable operation. I left there. I went to Specs Howard and taught at Specs Howard for a year. And then I went to Channel 50.
Really?
Yeah. And I worked at Channel 50 for a couple years.
Yeah.
And then I started freelancing in 90.
Really?
That's when I became a freelancer, yeah. And I was going to buy a camera package. And of course, in those days, there was no B&H.
No.
And if there was 2 cameras you could buy, Sony or Ikegami, and you had to go to the company representative. You bought directly from the company.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to get a camera package like everybody else, you know, Jeff Moon, Wally Shobaka, Dave Zavolta.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah.
They all became little independent businesses with camera packages. And I went to Von Miette, and I said, hey, I'm looking at this camera. Von Miette's he was an engineer at Tribune United. He taught with me at Specs Howard. And he went on to become an equipment manager now in Detroit. He's worked at numerous places running their warehouse operation. I said, Sony's got this great camera. It'll do the dishes for you if you want it to. And he says, yeah, I know that camera, Dave. Well, let me tell you something. He says, next year at NAB, it'll be sitting in the corner, and the new camera can do your dishes and do your ironing. He says, you're always going to be chasing the technology.
Yeah.
So Vaughn is working for Victor Duncan. He calls me out of the blue one day and says,
yeah, I know Vaughn.
Yeah. And he calls me and he says, we got this gadget in here. No one knows what to do with it or how to set it up. If you come in and learn how to operate it and set it up, I will send you out with it.
Yeah.
And that was the jib arm.
And that was a Jimmy jib?
No, it was a cam.
That's what I mean, cam mate. That's what I mean, cam mate. Yeah, the orange one. Yeah.
And I just learned this not too long ago. I was talking to Dave Kavanaugh, who's one of my competitors that I really like and get along with.
Yeah.
And Dave told me Vaughn made the same offer to me. So that's how Dave Kavanaugh and I both got into the jib business through Von Miette.
And now Dave and I have been business partners since '82.
Right.
So I started traveling with this other organization around the country, shooting for one of the evangelists. And I brought Dave on because they needed a jib operator, so I brought Dave on. And so there was a guy named Steve who had a cam mate. Okay. So one day Dave told me, so that, this was Thursday. We had a business over in Redford. He said, we got to have a meeting. I want to have a meeting Monday in the conference room. Excuse me. So all weekend, it's like, oh man, what did I do? And I'm preparing. You know how you have arguments, so you go over how you're gonna do them and all that stuff. Yeah. And I said, man. And so Monday came. I went, and there was an extension cord running out of the office to the back of the building. So I go in the conference room and I sit down. He comes in and he starts to say something. He went, come outside. So I go outside, and what I thought was the guy Steve's cam mate was sitting in the back of our building. Okay. And I said, well, and I was wondering, well, why is Steve's jib here? And then he said, Carol and I started a business. And we were going, I said, don't do that. I was like, I'm thinking, what did I do wrong? But and so but that's how he started, him and Carol. Right. They bought a jib, and he told me about a job, one of the first jobs he did. He said it was a disaster. He said it was like quicksand. He said it got worse and worse. He said he kept hitting the set and all this stuff. And so the director would say, it was like boom, and the director would say, what was that? And the guy would say, it's the jib again. But he stuck with it, and he got to be one of the, it was you, Dave Kavanaugh, and Scott Staten. And y'all were the only three that I knew of in Michigan that was doing it. And so, but those beginnings,
So Dave and I'll never forget when I realized that he's a competitor. And I'm going, oh no, what am I going to do here? Because it was my intention that I would have the only one in Michigan, and life would be great from that point forward. And I got mine, and then I heard that Dave and Carol got one shortly after, and within a month and a half or two, Scott State, all of a sudden there's 3 jibs in Michigan.
But y'all had tons of work. You might as well say it was 3 people in Michigan, and then everybody else in Michigan wanted a jib.
Yeah, and the other cool thing about us as competitors is that Scott got the sports work because he came up through a sports background. He was a sports camera operator. And then because I think of you and this religious work, Dave for years worked on the road doing all the religious events, and I worked pretty much in commercial and live work.
And see, because we had Ford as a client, so we would use it for our jobs,
right?
And we did a lot of industrial stuff too, but Dave started out doing the religious stuff, you know, and then we used it for our Ford stuff,
right?
So that was like a given, free jib, And but then I know he met you before I did, because I had heard of you, and I thought I was like, well, no, I thought with Dave McNutt, he's a big jib guy. He's not going to talk to a little beginning, peon like me. So.
Don't waste my time.
But
let me finish this story about Dave. So I have a client in Cleveland, PBS in Cleveland, and they do this summer concert, 4th of July show, and it's the Cleveland Symphony, which I understand is the best symphony in the world. And they need a second jib arm.
Really?
So I called Dave and I said, hey, we need your jib and you in Cleveland. We can throw it in my van. So we had 2 jib operators in the van. And it's the first time I had a heart-to-heart talk with him. And so I was open with him, and we both realized that we both sucked. And I tell people that it took me 6 years just to get the suck level.
Yeah.
And it's a learned thing, like becoming any professional that requires muscle memory and talent, and the geometry knowledge is, you got to have great geometry knowledge in this practice. But I realized I like Dave as a person. He was a competitor. He's still a competitor, but we get along great. I have lunch with him periodically.
Well, I tried it. I tried running. No. Well, yeah, that too. But I tried running the jib. He had to set up, and it was like move the arm, pan, tilt, focus, zoom, pat your yourself on the head, tie your gym shoes with one eye closed, standing on one foot. And I was like, oh no. I said, oh no. And I just figured, no, I'll just either go handheld or go on a tripod.
Yeah.
Because and the thing about it is, one thing I have said about production, and I think a lot of people in production will agree, it's not representative, the end result is not representative of the effort that goes into it. Because just like people say, okay, well, I want you to bring the jib, but they don't think about, you got to load this thing in, you got weights, you got to balance it, all this stuff, and then you got to set it up, and you got to make sure it's out of the way, you don't hit lights and this kind of thing. I just want a jib. And it might be a room, it might be like a 10-foot room.
Right.
He's like, we can't run a jib in here. Well, I want to do a big jib move. No. And it's been my experience over these years is people think, well, you just bring a camera and set up and you go. It's like, no, you didn't bring the lights. You didn't bring a microphone. You didn't bring a mic cable. You didn't bring more than one light. You don't have a set. They just think set up a camera and go.
Yeah.
And that's just not the industry. And so, like, I'm sure, like when you and Dave talk, you related because of what you do. And really, in the industry, the insiders in the industry, it's a community.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why I decided to do this podcast this way, because it's a community, and and it's relationships.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you one of the validations that you get that you're good enough to work, at least in Michigan, is you get called.
Right. If
you do a job and you never get called again,
it's time to find another career.
But if you get a call, and I thought it was cool that after a while I would be at home and they'd be like, well, is this Reginald Smith? Yeah, well, I got your name from so and so.
Yeah,
camera guy. And I was like, oh man, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Because it's not. The saying was, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why I thought like there were people like you, and Scott Staten, and Dave Zavolta, and Dan Noga, and all of these guys that I thought, well, I'm at this level. They're up here, like I'm at this level cruising like at 30, and they're at this level cruising at like 1,000.
Right.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
But, and then you meet on a job, and you do what you know how to do. One thing about it, you get one chance to make a first impression. Every matter of fact, what they used to say is you're only as good as your last job.
That's true. That is true. You that came out of Hollywood or something. Or again, it came from professions that required high degree of talent.
Yeah.
And if you flubbed something, then people just realize, oh yeah, Dave McNutt, he sucked on that show.
I remember him.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah.
David said to me on the drive to Cleveland, he said, in the beginning it was days. Well, he said, in the beginning, every job I did probably was horrible. And I agreed. Some of my first dozen jobs, I don't even remember. But he said, after a while, a year in, there were times when I could walk on water, and then there was other times they just wanted to shoot me. I couldn't do anything right on set.
Yeah.
So, So what's been your best job that you've ever worked on?
Okay. I'll tell you what one of the coolest ones was. We got hired to do City of Detroit. City Airport was getting ready to redo City Airport, the runways and stuff like that.
Yeah, when they tried to make a commercial go out of it.
So we got hired to go in and shoot the airport and stuff. And one day we were supposed to get a helicopter to do some aerials.
Right.
We got a police helicopter.
Oh wow! Yeah.
We flew. Okay, so we had to go to Metro.
Mm-hmm.
So we flew to Metro, landed next to the runway, and we're getting shots of the airplanes coming off. And then he called, and we took off, and we flew. Did a couple of laps around the airport, and then we flew over Belle Isle.
Okay.
And we were shooting for Ford. So we got on a flyover Ford's facility that we were shooting. So we got some aerials there.
Wow, yeah. And the Glass House in Dearborn?
No, it was on Rotunda, but it was near the Glass House.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then we flew. I said, well, can we fly over the Detroit River? We flew over the Detroit River,
yeah.
And it pretty much became a joyride. He took us wherever we wanted to go.
Wow.
And we had our own. And the thing about it is, there was no chance of you're illegally here because we're in a police helicopter.
Yeah.
So he just called it here wherever we wanted to go, and that was the coolest.
Yeah. Well, my best flight was years ago. I was Remember Palladium Productions.
Yep.
John LaChance
Yep.
and Tony D'Annunzio came out of there. A lot of great people, and they hired me to as a freelance camera operator. So, and this is back before the internet.
Yeah. Oh, all of this was.
Yeah. And So I go into Palladium's offices and I pick up the paperwork from, I can't remember her name, Suzanne. And I'm thumbing through the paperwork and I don't see airline tickets. And I stopped and I turned around and I said, Suzanne, how am I getting to Georgia? There's no airplane tickets. She says, you're on Ford's private jet. And I went, oh, wow. So people who are old enough will remember the Ford terminal was off of, is that Middle Belt? Yeah, Middle Belt. And so pulled in and told the guy my name. I was on the list, so I got through and took my bags. This person took them and sat in this lounge, and there was all kind of great food. And we got on the jet, and the entire jet was first class. And the thing that blew my mind was that the jet didn't taxi. It took off from the location it was sitting.
Because they had their own, like right outside their hangar.
Yeah,
and then you just
they had their own runway. They didn't have to wait for traffic clearance or anything. So that was a great flight. Yeah. And who's the most famous person you've worked with?
Wow, let me see. Now, I've met Michael T. Williams.
Okay.
I met McDonald from the Doobie Brothers. Michael McDonald.
Oh wow, okay.
But I wasn't I worked at this organization called the Word Network.
Okay.
And for some reason, they were there. I went in, like I was an editor there, I was senior editor. Went in, they were there, and I was talking to him, and he's like I asked Michael McDonald, so you think you'll ever work with the Doobie Brothers again? He said no. And then they had a reunion tour that he was in.
You never say no.
Michael T. at the time, they were doing he was in this basketball type show, and they were doing that, and asked him if they were, if he thought it was coming back, and he didn't know, and they canceled it. But I don't know. I mean, okay. I did Casey Jones from the Boston Celtics.
Okay.
Shot an interview with him. I was hired to go and shoot, and they said, well, it's Casey Jones. And I thought, well, this can't be Casey Jones from the Celtics because he's in Boston.
Yeah.
So get to the house, sure enough, Casey Jones. And we interviewed him, and I said, well, and I asked him about, how's Larry Bird and all those guys. He said, well, they're just regular guys. You know? And so I said, well, what are you doing here? And then I remembered one year, I forgot who the coach was. I think they had fired a coach. And so Casey Jones was over on the sideline.
Right.
And so I guess what they did was they used him to to coax somebody else in because they didn't hire Casey Jones.
Okay.
And so he was living in over Halstead and 10 Mile, over there. And him and his wife had a townhouse over there, and they were just, I guess he was waiting to move for either his next job or whatever. So Casey Jones was one. I don't know, you work with people and because, I've always been about the work.
Yeah.
I mean, I meet people.
Yeah, no,
and
that's
it's cool.
true. Yeah.
It's cool who you meet. The relationships are cool.
Yeah.
But
that famous musician, like I've done a lot of work with Kid Rock. I've shot a lot of his videos. I've done a couple of his concerts. And he's just a worker like I am. We're both there to do a job. Yep. And he's famous and, I like his music. But when you're there in the building or wherever you're at, you both have the same goal.
Yep.
And I was doing a job with him, Kid Rock. He had his own beer line for a while, and we were up at the brewery, which was towards Lansing off of 96. And I was doing this jib shot, and it was a hard jib shot. I was having a problem getting timing and everything right. And so we're back at Video Village looking at playback, and Bob is standing over my shoulder, Bob Ritchie, who's Kid Rock, and I looked at him, I said, it's my first day. And he goes, mine too, which was kind of relative. It's our first time doing this.
Yeah.
And, that's the thing about what we do, especially jib operators, is that it's never the same deal twice, really. I mean, every show has the same, like if we're doing pre-game and post-game shows, so you've got the intro, you got going to commercial, coming back to commercial, so those are certain jib jobs. But it's you're fighting weather, you're fighting something, or you're fighting fans. Fans are dangerous with jib arm. We were doing a music video years ago, and there's an audience, a staged audience, watching the group, and one of the girls that was part of the audience realized that the jib was coming down towards her, so she kept jumping up so she could get in the shot, and I would stop abruptly, and was on headset and told the director. She stood up. All right, let's take it again. She stands up 3 times. So they come out and talk to her after the 3rd time. Say, you can't. You're blocking the jib. The jib can't finish his move because you're standing up in front of him. So, okay. So the director tells me, if she jumps up again, hit her as hard as you can. And sure enough, we start the move. She stood up, and I just, bam.
And that's a dangerous thing because, see, what do you have, like 80 pounds of weights behind it?
Oh, no.
To balance it, or was it more than that?
Oh, yeah, 3.
And then you have this long arm in front of you, so you got to put all this weight to make it where you can move it. And then you have all this weight moving towards you. She had no idea what she was. She didn't know that she was pretty much jumping in front of a small vehicle.
Yeah. But she didn't stand up after that. So
well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, I tell you, I appreciate you coming. We're going to talk some more, but I appreciate you coming, being willing to have a conversation with me.
It's my pleasure, Reggie. Thank you.
Everybody, I appreciate you watching it. If you're interested, if you'd like to come in to have a conversation with us, I'd appreciate it. You can send me a message. You can direct message me on the site, and we'll come in, we'll have a talk, we'll have a conversation. It'll be really good, it'll be a lot of fun. If you want other people to watch it, they can go to any website and type in EMERJ.TV, EMRJ.TV. It'll bring you to the site, and you can come check us out. You can post questions, you can post remarks, and I'll get back to you. So I appreciate you watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Again, thanks for watching.
And if you need a jib arm, AmericanJibWorks.net.
Thank you for watching EMERJ TV with Reggie Smith. Join us next time for more discussions on all things production. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.